Okay, tonight we're going to talk about deploying packages, and Jen has graciously consented to pretend like she doesn't know anything about this.
Huh?
And so far we've been in pretty goofy moods tonight, so this ought to be an interesting video.
One hopes.
Okay, so yes, deploying a package. Okay, the basics of deploying a package are actually pretty easy, and one of the things you want to make sure that you do first is name the package appropriately, because when you right-click and say, new package, you're going to get package right there, right? Mm-hmm. And when you connect to SSIS on the server side after you deploy it, then you're going to have package, and it's just going to keep overwriting that package, right? So you're going to have to rename this. So I'll click on it, and it should read. Ooh, it worked. So we want to call this, we'll say table to bar. Yes, I want to change the package object.
Why does it ask that? Do you want to change the object? Fair enough. Excellent point, Jeff.
Excellent
Carry
point.
on.
I actually think I addressed that in my two SIS basics classes that I've got on the site. I think I actually talk about that.
Maybe I should watch those.
And right this second, I don't remember right
I've
this second.
embarrassed him in front of millions.
Yes, the second you asked me that, I said,
All right.
Okay, so this package is very clever. It selects from a table and puts it into a row count variable.
Dang.
Dude, I am the bomb. So you come here and you say execute task, and it's very fast. Okay.
Was that your Irish voice?
Yes, that was my Irish voice. Execute task. So, okay. I'm going to save it. Now, there are a couple different ways you can set this up to deploy. The good way and the bad way. Okay. No, it really just depends. If you've got a lot of packages in here, with just this one package, it's not as important. But if you've got a lot of different packages in here, then it's going to become very important. So what you want to do is right-click on the project up here and say Properties, and then you see Deployment Utility, and it says Create Deployment Utility is on false by default, so you want to turn that on true. What that's going to do is that's going to create a manifest file. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that manifest is just an XML file. We'll look at that in a minute.
Sure.
But what that does is that allows you to deploy all of the packages at once instead of having to round robin and do them one by one. Okay?
Okay.
So you'll always want to come here and create the deployment utility. So again, that's a right click, Properties.
I wonder if there's a way to set that by default to be true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it was something we should probably look up sometime.
Yeah, if nothing else, I know the SIS folks. No. Yeah, I'm group dropping. I don't.
Not even name dropping.
I'm not
anymore.
even name dropping anymore.
Well, my friends at Microsoft.
I know Mr. Microsoft himself. Okay, so since I moved that, I'm going to save because that's where I really want it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and do as I say, not as I do. I usually have my full complement of comments.
Well, this is a
stuff
test, of course.
Yes,
so you don't have to.
Okay, so from there you say build. Build succeeded down here, right? Mm-hmm. So once we're there, actually that was stupid. My docs, and the default location, of course, is the project folder, right? Mm. So Visual Studio 2008. Projects, that's 02, and here, bin, deployment, almost there, here we are. Okay, so you can see here that we have the name of the package that was saved, and we have the deployment manifest. Ooh. And the deployment manifest, again, open with, no, I don't want to open with that just yet, I want to open it with IE, why not? Okay, and so it's just an XML file, right? Mm. Has stuff. So it just and basically it's just it tells you what it's generated by, who did it, and all that, and then it just has a list of packages. You could create one of these by hand. As a matter of fact, last year I wrote a .NET desktop application to go through and create a manifest file from a whole list of of packages.
Okay.
Because from the developers, what I was getting a bunch of nested folders and stuff, and they all had their own separate little manifest files. But I wanted a master manifest file to combine all of those.
Okay,
So,
and tell us a little bit about the advantage of having a manifest. You said that...
well, if I had 10 packages in here,
Right.
because I can go to SIS and import this by hand.
Sure.
Because it's on the file system now. So I can go into SIS and right-click and say import, and then go choose it, and import it into SIS just fine. But I have to do that for every single one of them. And if I had 10 packages here, then they would all 10 be listed in the manifest, and all I have to do when I double-click here is it'll bring up an installation wizard. So I want to send it to SQL. I don't want it to reside on the file system, right? But that's also another change in SIS from DTS is these packages. I never have to move this. I can run it directly from the file system. I don't have to actually import it into MSDB if I don't want to.
Well, in other words, you can actually keep it... Are you saying you keep it on the client where you built it? The file?
Well, that's not a good idea, but yeah.
But you can.
But you can, yeah. It's not a good idea.
Okay,
but
jump
yeah.
back for 1 sec.
Back.
Okay, SQL Server deployment. So with SQL Server deployment, are we... In this case, does that mean we're moving the file? Does that mean
We're compiling it, well, it's compiled now, but we're importing it into MSDB, like the old DTS.
So it's actually stored in
yeah.
the database.
Yeah,
Excellent.
like DTS used to do.
Cool.
But I could point it directly at a file system, and it would still import the metadata into MSDB, but the package itself would live on the file system.
Right. Well, groovy.
That way, lots of the advantage of that would be you can have one single package that if you need to make if you need to make changes to it, if you make changes to it often, you've got one single package, and if you've got 10, say, data marts that may call that same package, you don't have to deploy it to 10 different places. They can all call it from the same place. So when it changes, they all call it, and they all pick up the changes at once instead of having to be redeployed. It's kind of a COM model, right?
Okay. So if you're pulling it into MSDB like that, is it something that you can reopen later? Can you reopen the package and edit it and redeploy if you wish and move it around, or is it in some secret database format now?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's actually changed quite a bit since DTS. Remember in DTS when you could just go into Enterprise Manager and just
sure, and there's a
double
list
click
of
on a
packages,
package
absolutely.
and bring it up. Well, you can't do that anymore because these are compiled code.
Right.
Right, so you've got two choices when it comes to editing packages. You can go into the SIS manager, and you can right-click and export the package to the file system, and then open it up in Visual Studio again.
Okay, so
then redeploy it.
It is editable, but not directly in... Did I say editable?
You said editable.
Oh, thank God. Okay. But not directly in from the database.
Or most people choose to store these in like a Visual Source Safe or TFS server or something like that, right? Some kind of code vault,
right,
where they're managing all their code. So consider these to be just like any C# or VB application, right? Any EXE.
Yeah, sure.
You can't just right-click on it and say modify, right? I mean, they're compiled, so you'd have to run them back through the compiler again.
I knew that.
Cool?
Yeah.
Okay. So...
By the way, it shows how late it is, how fuzzy I am. I was about to yell at the dog, and I'm like, wait, we're recording. I can't yell at the dog.
Yeah, I know. Huh?
Stop that! Okay.
All right, so I don't want to put this under data collector.
Well, okay.
Or maintenance plans. So I'm just going to put this off the root, but I can create my own folders and put it in there, right? But obviously not from here. At least I don't think you can.
Well, I was going to ask if you can like right-click or something. Aww.
You can, but it won't do anything. So, oh, crap. Okay, there's one more thing I forgot to show. I got to cancel out of this because there's something I forgot to show you. Something really important. Now, there's a whole other video I'm going to do on this, so I'm only going to touch top level of this, right? But this is extremely important, and it bites a lot of people in the ass because it's hungry and it likes to smell. But
okay.
No, the reason it bites a lot of people is because a lot of people don't understand. Most people don't understand what these options are, and the error message you get when you do it wrong has nothing to do with what's actually wrong.
Yeah, that's peculiar.
And it'll send you down the wrong path, something fierce. So down here, the protection level of the package. See, I have to be in the package itself. If I'm here, that'll change the context, right? So you have to be in the white space of the package itself. And you see the protection level down here.
What? Quick side note: you can set the protection level at the data flow task at the task level. No, you're saying that it changes.
No, I'm just saying that these options change.
Yeah, options change. Okay, I thought you were saying that
So
you
if
could
you
set
were-
that at the packet at
No,
the
so
task
if you
level.
were
I'm
here,
like, wow,
you wouldn't
really?
be able to find it. And you'd be like,
That seems strange. Okay.
I don't see anything, right?
Okay, just
So-
just clarifying.
Okay, so protection level, it says encrypt sensitive with user key. Now, like I said, there's a whole thing I'm going to do on this. But in essence, what that means is that means that you can only run this package on this box as this current user.
Okay.
Okay? Like I said, I'm not going to spoil the other video by getting into that too much.
Sure.
But what you want to do here is say, where you don't save sensitive. There it is. My God, I was blind there for a second. So don't save sensitive. Well, and that other one wouldn't have bitten us because we're about to run it and it'll be the same user on the same box. But if you were deploying it to a remote server, it wouldn't run.
Or if I logged in
Yes.
under my login and tried to run it.
Exactly. So this is the replacement for the DTS. All of those options are the replacement for the DTS. Save, password. When you password protected the DTS packet. This is the. Okay, so I'm going to resave that. I'm going to rebuild it. Okay, so now we're going to build again. I was going to say, was I smart enough to close that? And we got the same thing here. We just, rebuilt it. So, so now when I deploy, double click on the manifest again. SQL, local is fine. I'll do that because I'm just a smart feller. This we don't need right now. I'll talk about that later. And finish. Did it deploy? It's usually faster. It's usually not that fast. So now the question comes: how do we connect to SSIS? And you notice here, anytime you connect to something in the Object Explorer, you got all these guys. So you can connect to SSIS right there. Here we go, and I can see my stored packages. Whoa, look at that! Not really much under there, but I can right-click. And that's where I can put it in. I can create folders, import a package, export this package. I can run the package. I can delete it. So let's run it. I'll show you what it looks like to run a package. Here, you can set different environment variables if you need to, right? So if you need to do a different config file or set some values, so on and so on, right? But since we don't have any of that, and since ours runs relatively quickly, but you get all your stats right here, except for that, whatever. Oh, that's fine. And there you go. Tells you how long it took. And life is good. Right? Yay, I did it. Now, I promised you I'd come back and show you that one last thing. And one of the things that makes it really powerful now over DTS is used to have an environment variable task that you could pull over, and you would store everything in these environment variables. Now, I haven't seen DTS proper in years, so this is just going off of the vague images in my head like a dream, right?
But I do remember it being fairly convoluted and fairly something.
but you had to do it, and it was always the first step in the package, right? Well, here you can have actual configurations. So if I say package configs, enable configs, I can say add one, and I'm going to use a file, but you've got other options here, right?
Nice.
So XML is the most common. So here I'll say colon / that. Now you get to choose your options. I'm going to expand this a little bit. You can set them for lots of things. So I'm going to go to the connection manager, and the connection string is what I want to choose. So I'll do the connection string, config1. You can name it because everyone can have, you can have several config files or several different configuration methods, right? So if you want something that's going to be the same for all the servers, right, like different variables for all the servers. So maybe you'll have something that changes, that goes by add server name or something like that for one of the variables, but you want all of the destinations or all of the sources to be the same across 10 boxes, right? So you can have separate ones. So anyway, I finish and I close. Now, and I'll build it again. Now you'll see I've got my config file in here. And I'm going to open with Notepad because I'm just cool that way. I probably should have opened it in something that would actually keep the formatting. But, see here, after we get past all that crap, you can see here, localhost, right? The connections. And so, here's the source, the local host. So to write a package that moves across servers really, really well, or say if I've got it on one server and I don't want to move servers, but say the source changes, boom, you just change it in the config file, and every time the package fires up, it reads from the config file the new value. So I can change the source right here. So let's say that, and I actually do that at the office. I've got several data marts that are all pulling from different locations, and sometimes they're even pushing to different, but it's the exact same package.
Okay,
I just change the values in the config file.
Okay, so how is this stored when you deploy? Where does this file go? Is it pulled into MSDB as well, or is it something that you edit and put on the computer in the same place? Where does it go?
That's an excellent question.
Why, thank you.
The file is stored as XML on the file system, but the big caveat here is you notice how right here I said see my config?
That's what got me thinking about it.
That's where it expects to see it on the server.
Right.
So you have to have whatever structure you have on your client, you have to set up that same structure on your server, and that's where it expects to see it. And it had better be there. So a lot of people will do something like store all of their config files in a central location and use network paths.
Nice.
So you've got all your stuff there. Some of them like to put them on each individual server, right? I remember we had this guy a couple years ago who I taught him how to do config files, and I was explaining this to him, and I said, so you could put it, for example, in C deploy. And that's what he did. He went across all the servers and created C deploy, and I said, like C deploy. And nope, that's what he did.
He changed the name to C, like deploy.
Yeah, I know, right? So, anyway. So, okay, sorry we got interrupted there for a second. But there was interesting discussion here on the other side during the break. And that interesting discussion was...
Well, we were just talking about, you mentioned keeping all the config files in one central network location, and I was saying that kind of, defies the point of having separate configuration files, because each server deployment is going to need different options, different things configured in the config files.
Right, so like if I've got this particular package deployed to 10 different servers, and I've got them all pointing at this config file...
What's the point? Because they're all going to be the same.
Because they're all going to be the same. And it depends on how you've got things set up. Mm-hmm. If you've got things set up to look for local server variables, that's absolutely perfect. All 10 of them can run from a single file, because when they load the file in their own memory, they'll run their own. They'll pull their own server variable, and it'll be perfect. That's what it's for.
Sure. But if you have something hard-coded, for example...
But yeah, if you have something hard-coded that doesn't need to be hard-coded, like a region...
That's a good point, though, by the way.
Then, yeah, you're absolutely right. A single file in a single location wouldn't work. But the point of that was that you can have all of these files, say, let's get back here. Say if this file were in a central location on the network, and you used, a UNC path to get to it for all the packages, you would have a folder structure in here. So, you would have server 1, server 2, server 3, server 4, server 5, and each one of them would have their own copy of my config XML with their own values in it. So this just really keeps you from having to round robin across all the servers when you need to make changes. Everybody knows that you go to
one central location where you've got
config
all your
file
config
store.
files. So, yeah, okay. So you can just go blam, 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 one
Right.
after another and change whatever you need to change.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, I mean, like, even in my environments, I've got test config files that we use for that we use when we want to pull development data, right? Go against a dev server. So the source will usually have some kind of test box or certification box, right? And then it's got a production box. And you don't want to necessarily pull a new package from a production box because you don't know if you've done everything right until you test it a couple times. So I'll do something like this on my server. I'll say I'll have like a dev folder, and Jesus, where the hell is this one? There it is.
He's an MVP, folks.
And I'll have a prod folder. I couldn't find the folder.
Sure.
So my config will be here, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll have a copy of it in dev that points to the dev box, and a copy of it in prod that points to the prod box. And when I want to switch it, I'll just delete this one and then just copy the one over from the appropriate folder. Right?
Nice.
So that way I don't have to go in there and muck with changes.
Every
I can
single
just,
time.
Yeah.
Which
So-
is, it's better.
I did shift delete all on my own.
Ooh, you must have watched my video.
Yeah, I did actually. Watched it. I devoured it.
Excellent.
Okay, so did we build this thing yet?
Let's build it again, just for
Build
fun.
it again, just for fun. No, also just for fun. Don't save sensitive. And that's where this is going to become really important, because when you've got this config file, if you're doing, say, SQL authentication, it will store that password with a hash key. And that hash key is created from your personal profile on this box.
Ooh, fancy.
Right? Which is why it won't work on another box with another user, because it needs your specific credentials on this user profile of this box in order to decrypt the password. So, but if you use don't save sensitive, then it won't save it at all. You'll have to come back in here and add the password to it, and it'll be in clear text. But you notice I always use SSPI, Windows authentication, for those of you at home who don't have the dictionary in front of you, because that way I love using SSPI for packages. Number one, I'm not storing my password in clear text.
Clear text,
right?
of course.
Number two, I can control better who runs the package. So if it's a scheduled package across 10 different servers, then I can give those SQL agent accounts the rights they need on the box, on both boxes, on the source and destination, right? But then an individual user couldn't come in and right click and run the package when they're not supposed to, because they wouldn't have been given those rights. So I love using SSPI because I can control through Windows accounts and good stuff.
Absolutely.
So okay, so now we're about to deploy.
Did you build or did you just point to build?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either.
And I think I just deleted my... Did I just delete my...
Your config file?
My config file?
Why don't you build it again?
Will it build a config file again? I've never deleted it after I did it.
Well, this is a great time to find out.
I've got a copy of it on C, I think.
You did, but you deleted it earlier. You don't remember?
Oh, God. Is there any chance it's in my recycle bin? No, because I always shift delete. There's my bunny.
I love that picture.
Christ. Okay, so package configs. Yeah, I know it's not there. I have to remove it and start over.
We have a combined nearly 3 decades of SQL experience, folks.
Okay. I'm going to say .xml. I did that on purpose so I could show everybody at
How to
home
do
how
it
to
again.
do it again.
Absolutely. I'm going to call that myth-bustering it. Because we're actually super geniuses, but
Yeah.
we just stumbled.
That's what I'm accused of all the
No.
time, being a super cheat.
Now and
So
again.
connection string,
Well, so's Adam.
config 1, that's fine with me. Close. Build an 8.
I want to save it or something.
Woohoo! Look at that. Well, it'll save when it builds.
Oh, yeah, duh. I was just testing you,
Yeah, I know.
just to see.
Okay, so now we double click on here. SQL deployment. Local. Whack. It's the wax job. No. That was stupid, wasn't it?
It's alright, it's late.
Okay, so right here it says to install in this folder, click next. To install in a different folder. Okay, so this is where it's going to copy the config file, where you want it to copy the config file on the server. So it will deploy the file for you as well, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I might add too that I almost never do this. I almost never bother doing this. I always
Copy it by hand.
I always copy it by hand.
Just a hands-on kind of guy.
Yeah, something like that. Let's
Something
go
like
with that. So we're going to put this one on C, as much as I hate to say it.
No doubt.
Okay, so we got that. Now, this is cool, and again, I never do it this way because I always just want to touch it by hand. I've got cool XML editors, I like to use them. So, but you can come in here and change the value for all this stuff, right? So I can come in here and change. So, like right now, I've got it on data sources, localhost, and CDC, right? So I could do that. I could change the name of the database or any of the values in here, and the XML file would be deployed with those values.
Sorry, I got you yawning now.
Yeah, I know. And finish. Wow, that's fast.
Oh, it's a little tiny package.
That always reminds me of deeds. Boy, these things are fast. So now, that's not right. This is right. Okay, so now when I do this, I'm going to say run, execute. There you go. The first thing you see is information is attempting to configure from the XML file.
Ooh.
Right? Ah, not too bad, huh? So anyway, that's how you deploy packages, and there's a little bit more to it than that. Maybe we'll do a package deployment too, as I think of a couple other things, because I can think of some things now I didn't say, but maybe we'll do a follow up to this, and have a little bit more healthy discussion on it. Perhaps when we're both a little bit more lucid.
Yeah, good luck with that.
But again, the protection level, man, I have got an incredible video plan for that. I just need to put it together. But yeah, I'm going to explain everything about that you need to know, and probably so much more that you don't even want to know. It's going to be cool. It really is. So anyway,
Sounds nice.
and this is one of the biggest questions I get is on the protection
what does
levels
that
here.
mean?
I mean, so many people don't know what these
Oh,
things mean.
real quick, what you were talking about the wrong setting will get you an error that leads you down the wrong path. What's the error?
It's like a gazillion things long. I mean, it's a really, really long error message, and it has nothing to do with the thing. I'm trying to think. I'm on my workbox right now, so there's no way for me to do it and then log in with somebody else, and then.
Yeah, sure.
But maybe we'll do that
Next time.
Maybe we'll do that next time.
Yeah.
We'll do it on a different box so that we both have rights to, and then we'll log back out, which will be really hard to film. But but maybe we'll do it on a server and log in as two different users on a server, because we have a lab here, you know.
Do we?
Yeah.
Where the hell do we keep that?
Under all that dust in the back room.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, okay, guys. I think we've screwed around long enough.
Aw.
So that's all I got. How about you?
I got nothing.
All right. Take care.